Hello, everyone. Um, Welcome to our ENY 3005 group project. My name is Haris Sheikh, and these are my group partners, Aaron, Farrah, Sabal, and Rocco. And our project was on Lady Beetles and biological control. So, to get started, you might be wondering, what is biological control? Biological control is an environmentally friendly method of pest management. It uses natural predators, parasites, or pathogens to regulate harmful insect populations in both natural and agricultural settings. And unlike chemical pesticides, biological control is much more sustainable and poses fewer risks to human health and the environment. However, while increasing biodiversity can support pest management, it doesn't exactly always guarantee success. And as Gurr and others point out, understanding the methods of pest management is critical. Over time, these methods have proven effective in reducing chemical pesticide use, making biological control a vital tool for sustainable agriculture. And one of the most prominent examples of biological control is the use of ladybirds. Ladybirds are highly effective predators feeding on scale insects, aphids, and other plant pests. And according to Morelia and others, in many regions, they've been intentionally introduced to control pest populations in residential and agricultural settings. Their natural predation ability make them an ideal candidate for sustainable pest management, and in this presentation, we'll explore their taxonomy, their ecological role in pest control, and as well also discuss potential conservation techniques to support their population in managed ecosystems.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron, and today I'll be discussing the life cycle and the ecological role of ladybirds. So, ladybirds play a substantial role in both managing invasive insect populations, specifically including aphids, mites, and their eggs. And their life cycle kind of underpins their predatory effectiveness. So, we're going to break it down with this diagram we have right here. As we can see, the life cycle begins with the egg stage, where a female ladybird can produce between 20 and 1,000 eggs over the course of 1 to 3 months. Now, these eggs are laid near aphid populations or on leaves, which is ensuring that the larvae of the ladybirds have immediate access to prey after they hatch. Now, next up, we see the larva stage, and during this stage, the young lady beetle will actively feast on these pests, including the aphids and mites. So, for example, the seven-spotted lady beetle larva can consume up to 300 aphids daily, making them a substantial advantage when it comes to removing these pests. Now, this stage is absolutely critical for pest control and for reducing damage to both plants and trees that the aphids and mites may do. The larvae then transition into the pupa stage, where they're able to undergo metamorphosis before they eventually emerge as the adult ladybird. Now, in their adult stage, they actually continue to feed onto these pests, which is completing the cycle and maintaining the ecological balance that they're able to provide. Their life cycle is very efficient and is able to also provide direct support for the suppression of these invasive pests, making them a very impactful role, especially in ecology. So some of their ecological impacts that they do have, these insects, the ladybirds, are very invaluable in agriculture as they're able to protect crops from feeding on several pests, as mentioned earlier, like aphids. So, for example, the hackberry aphid is able to weaken trees by feeding on their sap and producing honeydew, which is able to continue on the growth of a sooty mold. Now, this damages the health and appearance of trees. As the University of Iowa conducted a study, they were able to find out that lady beetles actually help mitigate this damage by actively feeding on these pests. Now, the feeding of these pests is able to preserve both the natural and the agricultural ecosystems. Now, let's look beyond agriculture for a second. We see that lady beetles actually play a broader role in maintaining the overall ecological health by promoting biodiversity. As they naturally control these pests, they actually reduce the need for chemical pesticides, which can eventually and lead to damage on several organisms that actually aren't included in the targeting of these pesticides. Up next, I'm going to introduce Sable, who will be discussing the economic impacts of lady beetles.
Hi, my name is Sabal Schuster, and I will be covering the taxonomy and economic impact of ladybirds. Ladybirds are of the family Coccinellidae, which is in the order Coleoptera. There are about 105 Coccinellidae species in Florida, including introduced and native species. One of the most prominent beneficial predatory species is Harmonia axyridis, which is native to Eastern Asia. H. axyridis has been shown to dramatically decrease aphid infestations in fruit farms in Kazakhstan, Japan, the USA, and Russia. This is shown by a study orchestrated by Eric Riddick in 2016, where 1,193 records were examined and 90 records were found illustrating the positive economic effects of H. axyridis. Some evident reports include effects such as decreasing the scale bug infestations of M. Masonianae by up to 88% on an area of pine trees in the Zhejiang province in China, and effectively suppressing other populations of pecan aphids in the southeast US. However, one downside of the introduction of H. axyridis is the fact that it is an invasive species in many places outside of China. Evans et al. In 2011 illustrated the fact that H. axyridis can predate on non-target local species, including other predators of aphids, like lacewing larvae and parasitoids. Furthermore, they tend to infest vineyards in the summer due to their taste for fruit, decreasing their economic feasibility even further. Overall, though, H. axyridis and other Coccinellidae species, if used properly in native environments, can help curb pest infestations and improve agricultural yield in many places without the use of pesticides.
Hi, my name is Farrah Rasheed, and I'm going to talk about the conservation of ladybugs. So, lady beetles are a vital natural pest controller, but their populations also face threats like pesticides and uses of invasive species. Chemicals such as neo insecticides harm not only lady beetles, but also other beneficial insects. Invasive species further disrupt ecosystems by outcompeting native populations. To conserve lady beetles, we can introduce beneficial species, monitor invasive populations, and use selective insecticides to provide biodiversity and ensure that the health of the ecosystem remains diverse. Safer pest management strategies are essential. Biological controls and selective insecticides can reduce pests without harming lady beetles. It's also critical to address pesticides spread from water runoff and animal movement, which can harm unintended areas. By adopting thoughtful pest management practices, we can protect lady beetles' diversity and maintain a balanced ecosystem.
My name is Rocco Schorge, and I'm going to talk more about the pros and cons of using ladybirds as a means of pest control. So when ladybirds are introduced to a new environment, they can have positive and negative effects. They have a massive appetite, which means they will eat unwanted small insects such as aphids, which are harmful to crops. This can be bad though, because if there are not enough insects to eat, they might leave altogether. One other positive is they can limit the use of pesticides, which can be expensive and contaminate your food. However, your house could be prone to invasions, which can be harmful, and I'm going to talk more about that on the next slide. So, multiple studies have been done on the harmful effects of Harmonia axyridis, also known as the Asian lady beetle. Not only can invasions into your home lead to stains on furniture, which can be annoying, but they can also get to your food, which can be toxic to pets and people. Also, there is evidence that people can become allergic to ladybirds in the spring and the summer. Luckily, scientists have been discovering chemicals which can lead to these which can lead these beetles away from your home and into traps. And they do this by replicating the beetle's pheromones. These pheromones were discovered using gas chromatography and mass spectrometry to identify what the ladybirds are releasing as they walk around. In conclusion, ladybirds can be a great way to protect your crops, but it is also very important to know the potential side effects before you buy these amazing insects and introduce them into your crops. And here are We're Excited. Thank you for listening.